This is Jason. He is 24 years old this year and has been working as a software engineer for over a year. Jason has been commuting to work using a bike and is seeking to buy a car to ease his travel to work every day. Jason has saved enough money for him to do so. After doing many surveying and researching on which brand to go for, he chooses the Peradua Myvi as his first car. Excited, Jason heads over to the nearest Peradua showroom. Upon reaching there, he is greeted by Iman. Iman takes his time showing the features of the car, and once all is done, it reaches the booking process. Jason is shocked to hear that he has to wait 4 to 6 months in order for his car to be delivered. Iman then explains to him about the problems Peradua is facing in material management, which causes an inefficiency in supply chain. Jason then became interested in learning more about material management and how it plays a major role in the production process. He asks Simon if he could explain more of this to him, and Iman, who has studied regarding material management in Peradua, began explaining. First, to build Jason's a car, we will need the parts and components for it. A purchase requisition is issued. It is an internal document to request for a specific good for a specified time. Next, the purchasing department will need to perform sourcing. They will source for all the required materials such as the tires, windshield, seats, circuit boards and many more. Peradua is proud to say that they source most of their materials from the local vendor community. Because of its volume and high level of localization, long-term relationships are important in ensuring the constant delivery of quality material on time and at a lower cost. We see this in Peradua's relationship with Toyota and Daihatsu. For instance, the NR family of engines, which are models of engines used in Peradua's lineup of vehicle, is shared among the brands. In choosing the right vendor for the materials, Peradua will perform vendor selection, evaluation. Vendors that are deemed suited for partnership will then be registered to Peradua Suppliers Association, P2SA. Through this association, the profile of members encompassing their products and capabilities can be easily accessed and retrieved, and it allows Peradua to source quality automotive parts and components. Once the evaluation is done, only then will Peradua issue a purchase order to the vendors for the materials that they require to build Jason's car. Information such as time, date, material and quantity are stated. After the purchase order is issued to the vendor, they will then ship out the materials to Peradua's warehouse. Here, all the parts will be sorted according to their respective vehicles and sections of the car. This is known as goods receipt. A staff member at the warehouse will then check the goods receipt against the purchase order to ensure that the price, quantity and so on matches what they ordered. After receiving the materials, the vendors will issue an invoice to Peradua. Incoming invoices are referenced against a purchase order to verify their prices, content and arithmetic. This is to ensure that Peradua is billed accordingly. The final step is where the payment takes place. Peradua has its own unique method of payment. Its vendors can enjoy end-to-end supply chain financing that will increase their liquidity and help their working capital management. Supply chain financing is divided into two parts: a pre-delivery financing and post-delivery financing. The former is when the vendor needs financing for raw materials to make the parts, while the latter is when the parts are already delivered to Peradua, but without payment coming in yet. Before beginning the manufacturing process, Peradua will need to make sure that it has enough raw materials in its inventory. Several steps then follow in production planning, which are forecasting, MPS, MRP, production orders, goods receipt and order settlement. Before production, the CEO, COO, CIO, CFO and others will do strategic planning. Here they will perform forecasting based on past trend and seasonal trends. Accurate forecasts are essential in the manufacturing sector, as overstocked or understocked warehouses will result in a loss of profits. Based on the sales demand, Peradua works out a sales plan, production plan, and capacity plan. Next step is the master production scheduling, MPS, and material requirement planning, MRP, which are the processes involved in detailed planning. With MPS, Peradua can determine what, when and how many materials are needed to produce their car models, whereas MRP is needed to calculate the net requirements while considering available warehouse stock and scheduled receipts from purchasing and production. It basically provides Peradua with information when all the materials are available to start manufacturing or perform procurement when there are insufficient materials. Once all materials are available, a production order is then made. A production order contains the following: 1. Material produced 2. Quantity 3. Location 4. Timeline 5. Work involved 6. When a production order is created, it is referenced against a bill of materials to identify the necessary materials needed. The materials are then reserved, and upon the release of the production order, the reserved materials are withdrawn from Peradua's warehouse. Next comes the goods receipt. This is where Jason's car has been assembled, painted, and inspected. It will then be transferred to finished goods inventory waiting for shipment. In this step, several documents are generated such as material documents, accounting documents and controlling documents. Jason's car along with other finished goods are then transported to Peradua's showroom all around the nation. Peradua has over 200 showrooms across the country, and the finished cars are transported to them according to their booking and waiting list. The final stage is order settlement. It is where Peradua analyzes whether the cost of building Jason's and many other cars exceeded the targeted production cost. Cost analysis reporting is done, where it will calculate and analyze planned costs, target cost and actual cost of production order. It all starts with pre-sales activity. This is when a customer walks into a Peradua showroom and is met with a sales assistant. The customer may inquire about the car of his choice, requesting information such as car specifications, color availability and many more. The sales assistant will then present them with a brochure which contains detailed information such as price, variants, etc. Once the customer is satisfied, they will then place a booking for the car. Availability checking is done to identify when will the car be made. This information is then passed on to the manufacturing plant of Peradua. Once the manufacturing of the car has been completed, it is then arranged for delivery to its respective showroom. Once arrived, this is where goods issue happens. The customer will receive the car they ordered and will indicate the legal change in ownership of the products. Peradua will then issue a bill. Payment is the final step in the sales order process. It is under the care of the financial accounting department of Peradua. Car payments are made in the form of loans with banks.